Welcome back to That Jewish Podcast. I am your host, Yael. Today's episode is entitled Belonging Without Apology and Not Settling for Symbolism. I also have today, as always, my special guest host. Not always, I wish it was more often, but welcome to the show, Chana.
Hey, what's up?
So this one hits at the core of a growing generational conversation, Chana. How do we truly strengthen the Jewish life in America? Not just look like we're combating anti-Semitism, but actually change the structures that shape our future. Earlier this week, I was told that a certain story, a personal story about a Jewish advocacy, symbolism, and political engagement was shown to Robert Kraft himself, and that gives this episode a unique urgency. Young American Jews are grappling with two powerful forces. One, a rise in a wave of anti-Semitism in the U.S., and two, institutions and leaders responding with symbols, campaign, and awareness, but not always structural change. So today we'll dive into what it means to belong in a community and demand substance over optics, roots over ribbons, education over emojis, and legacy over lip service. Let's get into it.
That if you stand with Hashem and you stand for what's right, you will march across the finish line. You will have victory.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and back again to another episode of That Jewish Podcast. Like I said, I am your host, Yael. I have my wife, Chana, with me on this one. And I just want to thank everybody for listening, everybody who shared, listened. If you have followed That Jewish Podcast on Instagram, on TikTok, if you're in the WhatsApp group, I thank you. Listen, the best thing you can do to support this podcast is not only just to listen. I want you to listen. And listen multiple times if you like an episode, just like you watch your favorite show over and over again. But also share this podcast to family members, to friends, so they can get this great, good information as well. So let's get right into this episode because there is a lot in this. I will say this was... I was going to do something else. It was going to be an episode about belonging, but it was going to go a different direction. And then our rabbi stood up on Shabbos. This was not his whole drasha at all. It was probably like the last 2 minutes of it. But he mentioned a post from Shabbos Kestenbaum that kind of blasted at the Blue Square Initiative from Robert Kraft. Now, initially, I took much offense to this. Why?
Really?
Because I wear the blue square when I wear a suit. I wear the lapel pin. I believe in combating anti-Semitism. Now, it may not be the same way that Robert Kraft would fight anti-Semitism, but I do believe in fighting anti-Semitism, just like you would fight any kind of hate or anything else. Now, obviously, I think most people would agree that there should not be isms. There should not be, people who are treated less than. But we all differ on the ways in which that's kind of fleshed out, So anyhow, he read this post, and if you listen to this episode, it's past the Super Bowl. There was a Super Bowl commercial that went out that pretty much shows, and we'll talk about it here in this podcast as well. And we'll also talk about the great things that Robert Kraft is doing on some college campuses and whatnot as well. Because I think his message and his campaign is genuine. I think he has the right intent, but sometimes good intention can fall flat if you don't realize that the tide has changed and the needs of your community has changed. Like, we don't fight in the same way. We don't think in the same way. It's not about just rubbing shoulders with, congressmen now or having celebrities on a commercial, but it's people like, especially younger Jewish Americans, are looking for real qualitative change. Like, I want to see it. It's not just cool enough to say, oh man, we see a Jewish person on a commercial. Oh man, look at this, this Jewish comedian waved an Israeli flag on the set. Or, oh man, look, this Jewish producer, Jewish actor incorporates Shabbos into a movie. Like, We want more than just symbolism. Yeah, want more. So,
well, I mean, it's interesting. I think it's true, but excuse me, in the world of social media where everything is symbolism, I think people find that.
What do you mean by everything?
Symbolism, I guess, in the sense that people like to make more noise than action.
Okay.
So it's a lot of emphasis on, hey, you shouldn't be silent on X, which it's true. You shouldn't. There are some issues that people shouldn't be silent about, but once you speak about it, then what? Like, what are the actionable steps that take place once you say, hey, this is not okay.
Yeah. This
is how we fix this. And I feel like a lot of times, and I don't know, maybe it's not called symbolism, but we all get stuck in the, hey, this is not okay. That's all we're screaming at. Hey, this is not okay.
How do you fix it? Yeah. And I'm gonna read Shabbos Kestenbaum's Facebook post as well, prior to the Super Bowl and the commercial that Robert Kraft funded. And if you haven't seen it, just look up fighting Jewish hate Super Bowl commercial. I'm sure it'll pop up. But before I even read the post, I'm also reading a book, and I think I mentioned this before. It's called Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Jew? It's by The Big Bad Jew. It's by Rabbi Raphael Shore. Really, really good book so far. I haven't finished it all, but it really makes you rethink how we ought to be fighting Semitism. So with that said, I'm going to read Shabbos Kestenbaum's post, and then we're going to get into this amazing episode. So he says, update. I've just been informed that Robert Kraft has been shown the story below. I am once again urging the Jewish establishment to listen to young American Jews over their generationally removed boards. I would really appreciate if someone could share this personal story with Robert Kraft. When I and other American students lobbied Chuck Schumer, if you don't know who Chuck Schumer is, he is a senator in the United States Senate. He also happens to be Jewish, just like us, if you're listening to this podcast and you're Jewish. But when I and other American students lobbied Chuck Schumer to pass the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later as well. If you've never heard of that, we're going to unpack that a little bit in this episode. He responded each time by talking about how close he was with Robert Kraft and how he always wears the Stop Hate blue pin. Needless to say, Schumer lied to us students and never even brought forth the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act for a vote. We'll talk about that as well. I wanted to say this 2 years ago about the organizations of our DC trips. We were hoping you'd fund their organization too, so they'd ask me. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me say that again. I think I messed something up there. It says, I wanted to say this 2 years ago, but the organizers of our DC trips were hoping you fund their organization too, so they asked me not to share it. Mr. Kraft, Schumer and dozens of politicians use your organization as an excuse not to do anything meaningful about combating religious discrimination and instead say, I love Jews. Just look at this blue pen Robert Kraft gave me. You're a smart guy, but the people you have hired either are morons or are taking advantage of the money you pay them. Please do not let your legacy be ruined by this ineffective, pointless blue square campaign. Young American Jews, including the ones who work for you, know how useless this initiative is, but don't want to openly criticize you. Please consider using your immense wealth to 1. Fund Jewish day schools, 2. Double summer camp enrollment, 3. Expand birthright, 4. Publicize Chabad. I promise you, this blue pen square pen campaign is not only doing nothing to help young people, if anything, it makes us weak, makes us look weak, and I think he meant to say makes us look weak and like useless victims.
Yikes.
Powerful words from Shabbos Kestenbaum. So usually I'm not in the camp of publicly criticizing the people in your same camp. And when I say camp, I mean, like, if you're a Jew, you're a Jew. A Yid is a Yid is a Yid. I love you. I don't care where you're at on the spectrum of your Jewishness. I've said this in nauseum in all my episodes, so I don't need to repeat it. I'm one of the people who believe that a lot of conversations need to be had behind closed doors, because there's a lot of things that people will take out of context if they don't know how a certain community rolls, how it rocks, how people communicate with one another. But also, I would love to give people space to understand where you're coming from. You can't do that, in my opinion, by just blasting them on social media. One, Robert Kraft is like 80 something years old. I don't even know if he has a Facebook page. If he does, I'm sure he's not the one posting on it. Right. And two, it has, and although Shabbos talks about no symbolism and all that, is he blasting Robert Kraft because he knows it's going to get a lot of eyes on his Facebook page, Instagram page, more views on his YouTube? Or is he genuine about truly getting quantitative results out of Congress and, our Jewish leaders? Right. Is he serious about doing the work? I don't know. I don't know Shabbos Kestenbaum. Never heard of the guy before this past Shabbos. I have no clue. I'm assuming that he is genuine and really wants to fight. I think when I looked him up, I saw like a clip of him like destroying somebody's idea of how, Israel runs America or whatever. Is pretty cool. But yeah. Has he had the conversation with Robert Kraft, or he tried to have the conversation? Apparently he knows people who work for Robert Kraft. Have you had a sit down with him, or try to have a sit down with someone who's close to him? Or, obviously he had a sit down with Chuck Schumer, and I mean, that went absolutely nowhere. But
yeah, I feel like, I guess I would agree that publicizing this type of rebuke, I guess, so to speak, is maybe not the most effective. At most, what it'll do is cause more conversations, kind of like this. People are talking about whether yes or no, this is an effective way of fighting anti-Semitism. I lost my train of thought, but yeah, I don't know. I guess it doesn't really matter what his intentions are. I think the point is, okay, the seed's been planted. Something's been sparked.
Right.
So
right.
Whoever sees this, maybe it'll lead to someone doing something.
Okay.
I don't know. It's strange. This whole idea, not idea, but this whole thing of anti-Semitism and what I've observed over the last 2 to 3 years, I don't even know what to do of it. I don't know what to make of it. It's confusing. It's strange. It's strange. Like,
explain.
Number one, I guess it really caught me by surprise. Like, I had heard
anti-Semitism caught you by surprise.
Let me hear me out. I'd heard of anti-Semitism. Like, you hear it. Just the same. I grew up hearing about racism. But again, I was in a different world. And so what was
context? My wife her parents are from Haiti. She's first generation American. And if you've never been in a immigrant home, like if you're the first person born in America, like your home is that country. So wherever she went out to, yes, she went to American schools and stuff. When she got home, she's in Haiti. Just like I'm sure anybody else could, if you're from the Dominican, if you're from,
wherever else.
Ukraine or wherever you're from, like you can probably relate.
Yeah, right. Correct. I mean, again, I was very aware theoretically of all of these isms. I observed it. I've seen it happen, especially racism. But when it comes to anti-Semitism, the one I wasn't exposed to a lot of Jewish people, Jewish life or Jewish hate.
Okay. Until
these last 3 years. And now I'm like, wow, this is a wild world. This actually is happening. This is real. And I think what throws me off is that I can't figure out what the root of it is. And I think maybe that's why it's hard to, yes. So it is, and I think that's what makes it hard to fight. Like there's not.
Why did Paro, I mean, we just got into Shemot, right? So the first Parsha in Shemot talks about the first act of anti-Semitism. There's no rational reason why Paro should have thought that, these people here, if I have an enemy, they're not going to fight with us. They're going to fight against us. It's it's irrational.
Okay,
it's
great.
irrational.
Yes.
So
Then
a sane person can't wrap their mind around hate because it's irrational.
So then how do you fight something that's irrational? There's not a way to mass correct this wrong.
Right.
It really will be like a one person at a time as people build relationships that people might see, oh, okay, well, maybe Jewish people aren't whatever prejudice or stereotype that they have in their minds. I don't know that there is a mass way.
So we'll get into a little bit of that here. But one, I firmly believe this. Obviously, I'm Jewish, but I'm also an American that has African ancestry, along with 45 million other people in America. They're Americans who have African ancestry. I believe this then, and I believe it now, after going through Gerut and becoming Jewish. You can't fight the people that hate you. It's a losing battle. It's not a losing battle because you'll lose it. It's a losing battle. You cannot change their mind. You can't legislate people's heart. Mm-hmm. You can't soften people's mind with Torah and Gemara, especially those who aren't Jewish. Mm-hmm. You know, they don't understand. They're going to believe the conspiracy theory. They're going to believe the Candaceons and the Tuckers and the Fuenteses and all them gross people out there. They're going to believe them. But you don't fight them. You strengthen the community around you. When you strengthen the community around you and you build yourself to excellence and not hiding and being pride and have pride about who you are. Like I'm not trying to hide my Jewishness. I'm not trying to take off. Like I don't walk around with nothing on my head when I'm at work. Like I wear either my actual kippah or something very close to it. I have my Mogen David. I'm very outspoken about my Judaism and why I do what I do. And there's a lot of people out there that are. So when people get to know me at my job as a Jew, when they go and hear Candace on, they're like, nah, that don't track. Like Yirmiyahu, like I don't know many Jews, but I know Yirmiyahu, and I'm not tracking with that. So there's more people out there, as we know, that are saying, but they're silent. And that was the issue Martin Luther King had during like the civil rights movement. Like there's so many people out there that would love to do something maybe, but they're silent. And so strengthening your community, it doesn't fight the hater because you can't, they're irrational. It doesn't make, you can't, again, they're just crazy. There's something wrong with them. But when you strengthen your community and you take pride in who you are, whether you're Jewish, whether you're African American, whatever you want to call yourself, it allows the quote unquote silent majority to see you and say, yeah, they may say that about Jewish people, but I know Yirmiyahu, that don't track. Or even if they don't know I'm Jewish, they may say that about black people, but I know Yirmiyahu, that don't track. Like, nah, I'm not listening to that. And it pulls people away. It pulls maybe one or two people away from Candace Owen, away from Tucker Carlson, away from all these other people. And now maybe they are listening to people that I sympathize with. Maybe that, I don't know, Yirmiyahu mentioned some rabbi they listen to, or, you know, whatever it may be. Maybe it changes that person's mind. You're not changing Candace Owens' mind. It's just not going to happen. It's not happening.
No, she's a different level.
Yeah, and I'm using her as a trope, like her and everybody like her. But let's start by talking about the difference between symbolic solidarity and systematic impact. Because I think they're two completely different things. And yeah, let's talk about the differences. Okay. Because right now the distinction matters more than ever. So many of you have seen the blue square pin. Whether you've seen me advertise it on the WhatsApp group, or you're in the Memphis community, you've seen me wear it on my suits on Shabbos. It's circulating on social media and in public life. It's a simple symbol promoted by the Blue Square Alliance Against Hate, founded by Robert Kraft to raise awareness against anti-Semitism. The idea is powerful in theory, and I still believe that. It's a visual cue that says we stand against anti-Semitism and all forms of hate. I think that's very important. I think the visual is very important. So sports stars wear it. Advertisers broadcast it during major TV events. Faith communities distribute it. It's everywhere. And yet for many young American Jews, something feels missing. Why? Because a symbol can raise awareness without actually solving the structural causes of what it symbolizes. Mm-hmm. Right. So we can have a commercial on Super Bowl, but it doesn't stop anti-Semitism. How do we know this? Because the blue square alliance started in 20. I had to start doing my own research. I was like, okay, well, I'm wearing the pin. Maybe I should have done a little bit more research, you know. Also, let me pull this up too while I'm about to talk, because I thought it was interesting. I went to the actual website, which I did before I actually got the pin and all the other stuff, but I guess I didn't do enough research. And not that the organization is bad or anything. If you want to give to it, you've been given to it, don't feel guilty about that whatsoever. But I'm trying to find, I was reading their, oh man, now I'm not gonna be able to, here it goes. I was reading their frequently asked questions, and I'll get to that later. I just wanted to pull it up, and I thought, man, they miss a lot there. But anyway, so it started in 2019. Here's the problem, though. Since 2019 and beyond, anti-Semitism has the Anti-Defamation League says it has risen 300%. 55 Jews I think are only 2% of the population in America. 55% of the religious hate crimes are against Jewish people.
That's crazy.
That's way. That math doesn't even math. It doesn't matter. It's I don't know. I can't even get the words out. It's crazy. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Wild. Yeah.
So it's proof that symbols do not solve structural causes of what they're meant to do. They fall flat a lot of times. So
could they not be followed by actual movement, by actual action? Because, yeah, you could see a symbol and it should, I guess, point you to, oh, this symbol represents this, which I can see in real time, laid out as, well, I don't know, whatever action. This new law was passed, which, again, you can pass laws all day long. People are going to be crazy.
You can't legislate people's heart. But the problem is that most people believe the symbol is the action. Oh, look, I wore this pin. I solved world hunger. You know, that's not the. There's no action outside the pin, but
correct.
I wear it because it should cause some type of conversation to be sparked. All right.
Okay.
So, for instance, we talk about symbolism versus actual action. So, take the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act. Legislation that would require the U.S. Department of Education, I don't know if you remembered this a couple of years ago, it sparked the whole Christ is King foolishness that went around. But anyway.
No, I don't know if I know about that. Yeah,
the Christians got all in a tizzy about this whole thing, but whatever.
Okay.
It says, so the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act is legislation that would require the U.S. Department of Education to use the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance definition of anti-Semitism when investigating discrimination in education programs. This would tighten how schools respond to anti-Semitic harassment and provide clear legal tools for enforcement. If you're not familiar with that definition, the definition of anti-Semitism, according to the working definition, according to the Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, says anti-Semitism is a certain perception of Jews which may be expressed as hatred toward Jews. Rhetorical and physical manifestations of anti-Semitism are directed toward Jews or directed toward Jewish or non-Jewish individuals and or their property, toward Jewish communities, institutions, and religious. Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. I'm reading the wrong thing. Hold on. I'm sorry. Oh, man. I thought I was in the right spot. Hate when I do that.
Non-Jewish.
Oh, Oh man, I thought I had all this stuff queued up. Let's see.
All right.
Why is this? Okay. Yeah. So, in short, I was right. I was right. Anti-Semitism is a certain perception of Jews which may be expressed as hatred toward Jews. Rhetorical and physical manifestations of anti-Semitism are directed toward Jewish or non-Jewish individuals and or their property, toward Jewish community, institutions, and religious facilities. So in a nutshell, hatred toward Jews that manifests itself in rhetoric that causes violence towards Jews and actual violence that happens toward Jews. Because we know with anti-Semitism, just like racism, like in the 50s, it's not just talk. Eventually, the talk gets out of hand and it's followed up by physical violence. All right. So that's what that's trying to combat, especially on educational campuses. Now that actually sounds meaningful, but here's the catch. It passed the House. So that means in the House of Representatives, this Anti-Semitism Awareness Act, it passed. It got through. Okay. So if you know anything about government, we have the legislative branch. We have first the executive branch. That's your president, vice president, all of them. Legislative branch, that's your House and your Senate, your House of Representatives, your senators. And we have the judicial branch, which is your federal judges and your Supreme Court justice and all that. And they all supposed to work in tandem to, run a smooth government, right? So in order for a bill or an act to pass, it first has to get the votes in the House. It goes from the House to the Senate. It goes from the Senate to the president's desk for the president to sign and make that act a law. So it passed the House with overwhelming bipartisan support. Bipartisan means both Democrat and Republicans agreed on this. It's very rare that Democrats and Republicans agree on anything these days. Okay, so that means at the time, I'll use her because she was there at the time, but that means Jasmine Crockett and Margie Taylor Greene both agreed on this. Wow, it's amazing, right? But then it never got a Senate vote the last session, despite advocacy from students and Jewish organizations. And
so this got pushed through?
This is what Shabbos Tannenbaum was talking about.
Interesting.
So let's pull up a list of pro-Israel and Jewish senators in the U.S. Senate, because they never voted on it. None of them. But again, to Shabbos Tannenbaum's point, they say, hey, I wear this pin. Hey, I support Israel. Hey, I'm against anti-Semitism. But when something real and tangible came to their floor, they did nothing. And they being Chuck Schumer, Jackie Rosen, Ben Cardin, Richard Blumenthal, Brian Katz, Ron Wyden, John Ossoff, Adam Schiff, Elisa Slotkin, and Bernie Sanders. These are all senators who say they're pro-Israel or known in public say pro-Israel, or they're Jewish. The majority of them are Democrat. The problem with that is the majority of Jews in America vote what? Democrat. Now, I'm not saying this is not the episode to say, hey, you should switch to being Republican. I'm not a Republican. I'm more of a libertarian than anything. But I'm just saying, again, there's a trend. There is a trend. Excuse me. Where's that at? So this left many young activists feeling like they were told, look how supportive our leaders are. See the blue pen? But when it comes to actual policy change, you hear nothing but delays and excuses. This disconnect is the heart of today's discussion. What does real belonging, real protection, and continuity actually require? Because symbols alone don't stop discrimination, as you just said. They don't lower tuition. They don't fund campaigns. They don't protect students in classrooms and dorms. Have my own kind of take on, like, should we as Jewish parents even be sending our kids to non-Jewish schools, period? I don't know. Maybe that's a podcast for another day, right? Because we're already 30 minutes into this, and we have a bunch more to go. We have a bunch left to go.
That's an interesting topic for sure.
So yeah. So here's what many young Jews are wrestling with. And this is all wrapped around Shabbos Tenenbaum's post on Facebook. Have you seen it? Go. It's still up there. So symbols they're confronting, but they're not sufficient, right? Real belonging that ensures Jewish life thrives decades into the future, needs infrastructure. So the stuff that we want to last, it needs some type of foundation. So that foundation is education, community building, policy change, and enforcement. So let's explore each with examples, and feel free to jump in whenever. All right. So number one, Jewish education. So right now, as both me and you can attest, Jewish day school tuition, especially in the metropolitan areas like Memphis, but I'm sure it's even worse in Chicago and New York and LA and Miami, Atlanta, different places, can rival or exceed elite private school tuition. This is not anecdotal. So this is not just something people feel. It's a reality for thousands of families nationwide. All right. Mm-hmm. So yet too often, communal funding prioritizes branding campaigns. And I don't think it's not just picking on the Blue Square Alliance, but how much money are you spending on Federation posters opposed to trying to help a family, afford tuition? How much are you spending on I Stand With Israel or Never Again stuff or whatever it may be? And all these things are great. They're amazing. I'm not saying don't do it. But I'm saying there should be a priority if we're really talking about building a strong Jewish community. And by the way, and I'll say this, maybe this is an episode for another podcast too, and the more and more I do these episodes, the more and more I'm becoming convinced that the best way to build a Jewish community is in the Jewish homeland. Just move to Israel. Wow. And I know I'm not trying to say that flippantly like it's something easy to do, because I know many have tried Aliyah. They have to come back because certain things, healthcare is not all the way there, and people have to come back to the States. I'm not saying it's something easy to do. But what I'm saying is maybe we as a whole should do the hard thing to ensure the future of our people. I don't know. Maybe that's a podcast episode for another day as well. So I don't want this to be like Aliyah. Like, I don't know. This is not a huge podcast, but I would love to have what is it, Yishai, Fly Shaker? I would love him to come on the show and just, how important is Aliyah? And what does that mean to your children? What does that mean to your legacy? What does that mean to you? What does that mean to the Jewish people, the world looking at the Jewish people? Like, what does that mean? Like, I think it's more important. I feel like Aliyah is more important to me now than it was a year ago, in my opinion. But anyway, that's not. I mean, go ahead and chime in, but that's not what I want to talk about on this podcast. But not this episode. But yeah,
processing. Yeah, continue.
No, go ahead. You had thought. That's it.
No, I mean, I don't disagree. I think there's definitely something to it. I think the level to which people, I don't know how true that statement is. I think that will vary per person. Like, because
I'm not saying everybody has to agree with that statement. That's where I am. That's right.
That the best way to build Jewish community is to be in the homeland.
Yeah. And not discounting Jewish community here in the States or wherever else. It's beautiful. Our community is amazing. Mm-hmm. I can't quantify this. I've not lived anywhere outside of Memphis. We visited places, but I've not lived outside of anywhere but Memphis. But the people that come from other communities, other cities, large cities say, man, Memphis is like the best thing since sliced bread. You know, this community is amazing. So I'm not discounting the communities that's in Gullis at all. It's just something about being in Israel. It's just, I think it's important. I don't know. I think it's important. So anyway, sidebar. Sorry, guys. So back to it. So younger Jews watch this and wonder. So they watch the prioritization of branding campaigns over scholarship programs. And they say, why invest more in image than in the engines of Jewish identity? So Jewish education is the foundation of continuity. So if you want your kid, like, don't be shocked when your son marries a goy and he went to public, middle school, high school, all this stuff, and he knows nothing about his Jewish identity outside of wearing a kippah and Pesach Seder and Yom Kippur. Like, don't be shocked, right? So now all of his children aren't Jewish. Like, you've wiped out a line of Jews right there. Like don't be shocked when your child wants nothing to do with Judaism, with the faith, with nothing, with Hashem, with nothing, because you chose the public school or the other private school over Jewish education. So Jewish education is the foundation of continuity. Like it was from Moses to Joshua to the judges and so on, to your daughter, to your son, to your grandchildren. That's continuity, but you cannot do that void of knowing who you are.
Yes, I think maybe,
in my opinion.
Yes, but I don't. It's not 100% proof. Like there are people who have grown up having Jewish education, even Orthodox Jewish education, and have chosen, through whatever life circumstances, they've chosen to marry non-Jewish.
Right, but it's less likely, is what I'm saying. So, for instance, if you have, and again, there's so many parallels between the Jewish community and the African American community in America, it's ridiculous. But if you raise, it's a black mom, black dad raising black kids. If they send one kid to, let's just say, University of Michigan, right? That kid is going to be way different than the kid that they send to HBCU, so historically black college university, like let's say a prestigious one like Howard or what's another one? Tuskegee, University of Tuskegee, Howard. What's the one down in Atlanta?
That's what I was trying to think of.
I can't even think of the name of it right now.
I'm blanking out.
If I wouldn't have brought it up, I would have known.
The one that's right next to Spelman.
The Spelman is one of them. That's an all girls college university, and then you have it doesn't even matter at this point. But the point I'm trying to make is the kid that went to University of Michigan and the kid that went to this historically black college and university they're going to think different. They're going to walk. The one that went to the HBCU is going to, and not saying that always, but more than likely they're going to have more pride in who they are as an African American, and they're going to know a little bit more about it. They're going to know a little bit more about their history. They're going to be more connected. Morehouse, thank you. They're going to be more connected to it. They're going to be more connected to their culture than the person who went to the University of Memphis or University of Michigan. Just like our children. If we continue to keep our kids in public school, they would be disconnected from what's going on in the Jewish community for the most part, and disconnected from their Jewish identity.
But I think that there's responsibility in the household, right? So yes, they could go to public school, but we as a family would have to, it would be our responsibility to ensure that they remain connected.
But
so whether it's different programming or activities, just
true, but wouldn't you want the school your kid goes to reinforce the values you're teaching at home?
Yeah.
Why would you want the school to be antithetical to the values you're teaching at home? Why would you want that? Why would you choose that?
What do you mean the values are antithetical? Like, so if they go to
our kids
school,
going to White Station, that's not White Station is not is not teaching our kids the values we're teaching them. They're not teaching them Torah. They're not learning Gemara. They're not learning any Hebrew. They're not learning any Gedolim. They're not learning any Rosh.
That's fine.
They're not learning how to be a modest Jewish young girl.
Right, but maybe I'm not looking for a school to do that. Maybe I'm looking to teach that to my kids, and I want the school to prepare them academically.
You're not hearing me. I'm saying we are teaching them that, but I want the institution that I'm paying for to reinforce the values I'm already teaching my kid. Because we know by statistics that kids are more influenced by the education. And I'm reading Dr. Zachariah Steiner's dissertation, which is amazing. I'm going to have him on the show. But he found in his dissertation that kids are way more influenced, not by their parents, but by their educational experiences.
That's where they spend all their time. So yes. Sure, okay, I'll give you that. But I'm just saying, I think I'm not 100% disagreeing with you, but I feel like people who choose to send their kids to public school should not be. I don't know.
I'm not bashing anybody. Yeah. Obviously, I'm very passionate about what I believe. I'm not saying if you want to do that, that's your prerogative. That is your prerogative.
But then you're saying, but hey, if your kid doesn't walk in this path, don't complain.
Don't. I don't.
I think you can still instill.
I'm going to use, and some of you won't get this reference because, obviously we converted into this, so whatever. But maybe you'll get the reference. I can't roll up to Burger King and get a Whopper and be mad and complain that it's not a Big Mac. I didn't go to McDonald's. If I wanted a Big Mac, I should go to McDonald's. But I went to Burger King, so I got a Whopper. So now this is all about your value system in the house too. Mm-hmm. If you are passionate about Jewish identity and continuity, and you want your kids to marry someone who is Jewish, you want your grandchildren to be Jewish, and you want your children and grandchildren and great grandchildren to be proud of being Jews and go to shul, and you want your kids to be Talmid Chacham and they study and God willing, Tzaddikim, and you want them to be worthy of Mashiach. Like, build them up in Yiddishkeit. Public schools not going to do that. That's not going to do that. So you cannot complain that your bloodline is lacking Yiddishkeit when you didn't reinforce Yiddishkeit. It's more than just the home. It's different sectors. I'm doing it at home. I'm doing it in the school. They're going to shul. They're around the kids that have this like values. It's on and on and on. And it's not just this, these couple of hours that we spend at home with our kids and we're trying to quickly force some, Shulchan Aruch down their throats. Like that's not a Jewish experience. It's not a full Jewish. Why immerse yourself in a Jewish community if you're not going to allow your kids to experience that community? So, there's, and I'm not going to, I can't name them because I don't even know their names, but I know there's people in not our community, like they go to one of the shuls in this community, but we live in a Jewish community, so that there are Jewish people that live in this community that have Jewish kids, but they're not connected to this community whatsoever. It's completely disconnected. Completely disconnected. Now, I hope, B'ezrat Hashem, that even the children or even these parents that are disconnected from their Yiddishkeit, that B'ezrat Hashem, that he brings them, he calls them back. Like they hear the yearning and they feel the yearning of the neshama to come back to Mount Sinai. I really pray that. But in the meantime, again, you can't complain about having a Whopper if you rolled up to Burger King when you really wanted a Big Mac. You can't. You can't.
Fair, yeah, that's true. It's okay. We can go on to the next point. I have some thoughts I'm still formulating, but go ahead.
Hey, maybe we can do a part 2 of this. I don't know, because this is about to be like a whole hour and a half episode. Sorry, guys. But I hope this is good so far. So
I'm done with feedback. I'm listening.
Let's get through this stuff, right? So Jewish education is the foundation of continuity. Without it, symbols remain surface level, right? Number 2, Jewish summer camps. Ask adults what gives them enduring Jewish identity, and chances are camp will be near the top of the list. Camp builds joy, leadership, pride, bonds of friendship, and lifelong engagement. I know this for a fact. Ladies and gentlemen, my daughter worked at a Jewish summer camp this summer. My car got stuck in the snow. The only person that was able to pull me out is the person that my daughter was a counselor, and there's some kids that absolutely love Miss Grace. And it was their dad that happened to have a big truck that helped us out of that snow. We would have been stuck without, maybe somebody else would have came along, obviously, yes. But it was that connection. When he saw that, oh man, the Yosifs are stuck in the snow, like, I'm going to risk my truck getting stuck too, because my kids cannot stop talking about Grace and how much they love Grace. They just love her, love her, love her, love her, love her. Right? So these are the type of things that connect you to your community. Right? But if camps are unaffordable,
they are,
or inaccessible,
correct,
experiences that could fortify Jewish identity remain the privilege of a few and not the whole.
Correct. So, I've seen those prices.
So passing around a blue pen doesn't help this. And I'm not, again, I wear it. I'm not saying, and we'll get to Robert Kraft and the good things that he's doing. It's not just a blue pen. Okay, he's doing more. I just wish he would advertise the more that he's doing. Right? So wouldn't expanding enrollment, making camp a norm, not a luxury, actually strengthen belonging more than another $1 million ad by during a football game? Like, you spent, it's not $1 million. I looked it up. 30-second ad, the minimum before and during halftime is $8 million.
Sheesh.
After halftime, that price drops, because usually after halftime, most Super Bowls are not great, so people, they stop watching. But before and during halftime, $8 million. That's the minimum for a 30-second ad.
Sheesh.
So how much more families could you sponsor for a camp, for tuition? I mean, I don't know of $1 million camp. So I don't know of a $500,000 camp. I don't know of a $250,000 camp. There's a lot of families that you could sponsor.
Yeah, but I mean, there's also, but I think the thing too,
and I'm not telling people they should do with their money.
That's what I was going to say.
I'm just saying more could be done, because these billionaires, they have $8 million and 8 more million and 8 more million and 8 more million. And again, spend your money how you want it. God bless you with it. Be generous wherever you feel like you need to be generous. But just like my attitude I was in the banking industry during the 2008 recession, the crash. And I'm saying this because the banks, including the one I worked at, got $1 billion payouts, like, to help them come afloat. The banks didn't use that money what they were supposed to use it for. They were sipping Mai Tais and Bora Bora. The people in the C-suites of these banks. Imagine that, what was it, $500 billion or something crazy? Imagine they gave $1 million to every taxpayer in America in it. And I know some people say, oh, that sounds socialist, that sounds whatever. Just imagine, okay, give the banks and the cars what they're going to, but you could afford to give every tax-paying American $1 million. That gets most people out of their debt. That gets most people into real estate. That gets most people into a lot of things. You boost the economy, in my opinion. So again, I'm not telling Bush and Barack how they should have spent that money. And I'm not telling Robert Kraft how he should spend his money. I'm just saying money can do a whole lot more than what it's doing in the world. I remember listening to I forgot if it was Meaningful People or Living Inspiration for the Nation. So Forgive Me is one of those podcasts. Both of those podcasts are amazing. If you don't listen to them, you should be listening to them along with this one and sharing it. But they had a rabbi on there, and the question was, Rabbi, why is there still greed in the world? Or why is there poverty in the world? He was like, because there's greed in the world. If there's no reason that this much money circulates around the world and people are still scrounging for their next meal. It's crazy that people who choose not to are still living out on the streets homeless.
I think that was actually kosher money.
It's kosher money. Thank you. They shouldn't have to do that. Yeah. And I'm not saying Robert Kraft, and Robert Kraft is a trope, ladies and gentlemen, for all the billionaires and multimillionaires out there. I'm not saying he's greedy. I'm just saying, given the right push and the right information, maybe they start spending their money on things that are more meaningful, actionable, quantitative than just a symbol. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay.
So, because, good segue, symbols don't build relationships. Programs like Birthright and longer immersive experience matter because they create connection, not just awareness. So understanding connection and shared experience do. And yet, funding these programs frequently lags compared to high visibility campaigns. So imagine we're trying to do Birthright right now. We're searching. It's affordable compared to something else. So it's comparatively affordable. It ain't really affordable. At least the ones we found out. So if some of y'all got some good ones out there, please go to thatjewishpodcast@gmail.com. Email us some links to these places. We would love to know. And this is the gap young Jews are calling out. This is what Shlomo, Shabbos Fly Shaker. This is what he's Fly Shaker. I'm saying so many names. Lord have mercy. Shabbos Kestenbaum. This is what he's calling out. Symbols can start conversations, which they're meant to do, but they can't build institutions. That's what he's calling out.
Yes. So it sounds like even with all of these different things, what you're saying is that become more insular?
No.
If we're saying send kids or remain within Jewish education, be involved more in your community, which you should be more involved in the Jewish community.
It builds a stronger identity.
But
I'm not saying be more insular. I'm not saying do that and go into and never go out.
Okay.
No. Go to the library, buy the books, read we go to a modern Orthodox shul. That's the whole thing. Don't hide. You can have secular jobs, work at the hospital, work at the bank, work at, wherever you want to work. Don't. But when you work in those places, don't hide who you are. Don't take your head covering off when you go to work. Don't do it. Don't hide your Mogan David. If you wear your Mogan David, if you're the person that doesn't cover their head when they're at work, but then come home and then cover your head to go to Shabbos and pray, that's a problem, in my opinion. If you're the person who doesn't wear Mogan Davids or menorahs, any kind of chains, any kind of jewelry, what's Jewish jewelry identity? Nothing at your job, but you put it on when you come into the community to try to I'm an American over here, but I'm Jewish over here. You can't compartmentalize your Jewishness. That's a problem, in my opinion. That's a problem. Yeah. So I'm not saying be more insular. I'm just saying while you're out in the wild, be you. Be Jewish and be okay with being Jewish. That's all I'm saying. I think that's what a lot of the younger, this new Jewish generation, especially, they had, imagine all you're trying to do is go to you're trying to get to your midterm exam, and you come into an embankment of hundreds of people calling you all kind of names, calling you everything but a child of Avraham, putting hands on you. You got teachers who won't protect you, administrators who ignore you, cities who turn on you, All you're trying to do is go to class. Like, I feel where they're coming from. I feel where they're coming from. And this whole time you've been told, wait. It's coming. Look. We're doing this thing. We're doing this campaign. We're doing this march. But none of that protects them on campus. None of that builds Jewish identity. None of it. And I'm not saying, college is, in my opinion, is a bit different than high school, middle school, because to my knowledge, high schools don't have, like, public high schools ain't got kabads in there. Public high schools ain't got Hallels in there. But when you go to college, you can. I mean, if you're Jewish and you don't want to go to YU, you don't want to go to Toro, you don't want to go to Brandeis, you don't want to go to the one that's in Los Angeles. I can't think of the name. I think American Jewish University. I think that's what's called. So I could be wrong. Somebody can correct me. But that's fine. Most colleges now have some type of kabod on campus or some type of Hallel to where you can still have that Jewish connection, that Jewish identity. It's cool. But while I'm there, I should be able to wear my kippah. I should be able to wear my head covering. I should be able to wear my Mogen David. I should be able to have my zeets flying and flowing in the wind if I want to, and not be harassed for it. So,
yeah,
campaigns don't help me with that. Like, legislation does. Now, it doesn't mean that hands won't get put on me, but when hands do get put on me, something happens. It's the difference.
Yeah,
it's the difference. But anyhow, so let's look at actual examples, not just theory, right? So a lot of theory. Let's look at some real examples. So, despite sponsorship from members of both parties and clear support among Jewish students and organizations, the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act, which we mentioned before, stalled in the Senate. Representatives like Josh Gettenmeyer even expressed frustration that the bill wasn't brought to a vote quickly. Now compare that to how easily symbols get airtime. Again, Robert Kraft's foundation spent tens of millions on media campaigns, including ads during NFL games and other major broadcasts. This contrast isn't inherently criticism of generosity. It's an observation about priorities and impacts. So that answers the question before. Like, I'm not trying to tell people how to spend their money. How do you prioritize? What are you prioritizing, and what's the impact of what you're doing? Because again, not just young Jews, there are a lot of people in our shul that I talked to at Kiddush that were upset, and they think that this whole thing makes us look weak, defenseless, and like victims who need this ally to come aside us to pick up these weak Jews by their bootstraps and help them move through the muddy waters of anti-Semitism in America. That's how people feel. They don't feel good about the commercial at all. It doesn't bring a sense of pride or like, man, I'm proud to be a Jew. Like, I've not heard one person say that yet after seeing that commercial. Not one. So, and we were a room full of 15, 20, 30 people at this Super Bowl party. So, one is visibility. So you have the broadcast. But the other is legal protection for students facing harassment. Another one is broad correlation versus targeted solutions. So symbol campaigns often try to be inclusive of all forms of hate, which is important, by the way, right? I don't like I think, bringing awareness to anti-Semitism is just as important as bringing awareness to racism, just as important as bringing awareness to homophobia, just as bringing importance to xenophobia. All the isms and phobias, they got to go. It's not good. It's not good. It's not Torah. It's not loving our neighbors. As it's just not right, period. And I know this is simplifying it. Simplifying it to like a 3-year-old, but that's what it is. It ain't right. Right? Wherever you fall socially on any of those issues, it doesn't matter. You can't hate someone, because usually hate is void of a whole lot of knowledge about that person, their experiences, their culture, their background, who they really are, because you're listening to somebody else talk about that person instead of you trying to build a relationship with that person yourself and try to figure out who they are as a person.
Right.
So again, hate is irrational. It's stupid. But anyway, was I saying? So symbol campaigns often try to be inclusive of all forms of hate, which is important, but they can miss the nuance of what Jewish communities specifically need, right? So we're talking about what the Jewish community needs. So again, the Blue Square Alliance Super Bowl ad, you know, if you haven't seen it, it features a student being bullied for being Jewy. Like, he opens up his locker and there's like a note on one of his books, which I don't know how they got in his locker anyway. I guess the janitor or the principal's in on it too. But it says "Dirty Jew." That's what the note says. So then one of his African-American friends comes along, he covers it with a blue square. So some commentators argue that this visual makes it look unintentionally, it betrays Jews primarily as victims rather than resilient agents of their own destiny. Again, it makes it look like we need help from somebody else to stand up for ourselves, right? And I love what Yishai Fleischacker said. He's like, man, if the commercial was truly about Jewish identity, it would have showed that kid getting bullied, and then the next frame would show that kid graduating high school, making Aliyah, then joining the IDF and fighting for the state of Israel.
I think someone made something like an AI version.
Yeah, they made
an
AI version of that.
Oh,
They did. So I think it was somebody that works specifically for him, actually.
Oh, gotcha.
But I thought that was cool. I was like, yeah, heck yeah, I want to see that commercial. Heck yeah. You go from being bullied to being a soldier. Like, 75 years ago, we couldn't do that. There was no army to protect people from pogroms, you know, before the state of Israel. There was nothing. Now we have an army. Now we have a state.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have to be subjected to that anymore. But you gonna say something? But young activists see strength. Young activists see strength, but they also see vulnerability. And when the focus is only on general allyship, the specific strategies for Jewish success, education, placement, policy protection aren't always part of the narrative. Also, partnerships with institutions. There are meaningful partnerships, for example. Robert's Foundation, again, he does meaningful work. Work with Brandeis University, which you don't know. Brandeis is one of the it's one of the highest. It used to be, I think, exclusively Jewish, but now I think it's more of I don't know if it's private or public, but a lot of non-Jews go there too. But it's still one of the, outside of YU and Touro, the largest
Population of Jewish
students. Thank you. Getting late. My brain is being scattered. But anyway, he worked with Brandeis University to create initiatives to educate and prepare higher education communities to stand up to anti-Semitism. So his thing is fighting anti-Semitism. That's his thing. But I think what the disillusionment is with Shabbos is how he's doing it. Not that he's doing it. It's the method by which he's doing it. But the impact of the radius of such efforts is narrower compared to the everyday lived experiences of families, students, and schools across the country. So that's why young Jews are asking, can we fund the roots and not just the ribbons? All right. So I'm trying to get through this. We're at an hour now, so I'm trying to get through this. So what does belonging without apology actually look like for Jewish communities today? Right. So it's not about rejecting symbols. It's about contextualizing them within real change. So here's a framework. We have to have, number one, awareness plus actions. So symbols raise awareness, that's valuable, but action is what protects and builds. If we promote a campaign, we also fund Title VI enforcement for anti-Semitic discrimination in schools, like the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act seeks to do, scholarships for day schools and camps, and grants for Jewish community centers and youth clubs. Awareness without action is good feeling without good outcome, right? So we have to go beyond viral and toward vital, right? So it's one thing toward vital. It's one thing for a campaign to go viral. It's another for a moment to go viral and impact. Jewish community isn't built on trend cycles. It's built on decades-long investment, right? So viral versus vital. 3, youth-led voices and strategy. So one reason this episode resonates is because young Jews are tired of being told to be grateful for gestures they feel aren't enough. So they're not rejecting leaders, they're calling for strategies that align with their lived reality. And that's belonging without apology. So we're wrapping this up. Any final thoughts, Chana?
No, you got it.
Okay, I think we had a lively, a good lively discussion, right? So either way, here's the bottom line. Jewish belonging doesn't come from pens. I'm learning that myself, right? So this is me talking to myself. It comes from protection, identity, education, investment, and continuity. And I have to do a better job, even with this platform of That Jewish Podcast, to put out more educational things, put out more Jewish things outside of just this, one podcast episode a week. And I've tried that with, I think, this Jewish idea that I can't escape from segment on YouTube. I've done one video. I need to do more. I need to do better at it. I think my superpower is my voice. And I need to use that more to promote Jewish identity. Right. So I'm also guilty of just wearing a pen and not using the gift that Hashem has given me to promote Jewish identity within the world. Because I'm not a millionaire. I can't pay for stuff. I can't, unfortunately, B'ezrat Hashem, maybe one day I can sponsor families for tuition and for camps and for birthrights, but that's not the position I'm in now. I use what I have, and right now that's my voice. Yeah. So I have to do a better job of doing that. Symbols can support that work. They can't replace that work. So let's keep the blue squares if they help. I'm not saying throw them in the garbage. I'm not saying don't wear them. But let's also fund the schools. Let's also empower students. Let's also protect the communities and legislate for real safety. So young American Jews are not asking for loyalty badges. They're asking for real policy impact, real protection, real investment in Jewish futures that last. This is what belonging without apology truly means. So if this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who cares, not just about looking supported, but being secure and strong. So thank you for listening to That Jewish from That Jewish Podcast. I'm still getting used to saying that. Thank you for listening to That Jewish Podcast. Until next time, light up the darkness, change the world. Peace.
Thanks for listening to That Jewish Podcast. If this episode meant something to you, helped you grow, or made you feel more connected to the Jewish people, please follow or subscribe so you don't miss future conversations. Share this episode with a friend, especially someone who sees things a little differently. That's how unity gets stronger. And if your platform allows it, leave a rating and review to help more people discover the show. Also search That Jewish Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and WhatsApp. This is a space for thoughtful conversations about Jewish life, Jewish identity, and bringing all of Israel closer together. Until next time, stay connected, keep growing, and keep showing up for one another.